What's the most you would ever drop on an ounce of flour? I'm not talking about that regular everyday. This is what I always get, and it does a good job. I'm talking about that special occasion flour. You're reaching for the top of the top shelf, and you're going to spend more than you normally spend, and that price is going to make you go, sheesh, at least I'm only doing it once. What's the most you would drop on an ounce of flour? Is it 300? Is it 400? Is it 1,000? Well, if you haven't heard of veganic bud yet, the average price of it is about $1,000 for an ounce, which to me sounds both high and low. I think years ago, one of the first ounces I ever got was like 400. And, you know, years and years later after, you know, legalization, but also after inflation, I'm paying less than that. But it's possible that I could spend more and get more, but is it worth it? Is the quality actually there? Well, I heard the veganic bud years ago, but I recently saw an episode of The Most Expensivest with 2 Chains in it, and it had Kyle Cushman and Sarah Silverman in it, and it was actually a pretty funny episode. I do want to show one quick clip because I'm convinced 2 Chains was not having a good time for the most part. All right, this is right after Sarah Silverman smells some flour called the J-Lo. Just watch.
Let me hear your word comes to mind when you smell that.
Yellow. God, you hate me, but you love me. Can we get high?
What I got here.
Veganic Oreos. He's got them. She says, you hate me, but you love me. Bro, the sigh he lets out, oh my God, he did not want her there. It kind of mellows out after a little bit. Sarah Silverman gets really high and she just doesn't talk as much. And I think that is way better for 2 Chains because he doesn't seem as annoyed. But it's an interesting look into veganic bud. It's got Kyle Cushman in there, who's like very famous in the game. He's done a lot in the growing space. He's somebody I'd definitely drop $1,000 on a zip from. But what is veganic? Well, it's vegan flour. It's like organic, but it's vegan, right? There's no synthetic fertilizers. There's no animal byproducts. They're not using pesticides. They're not digging in the soil and killing your earthworms and microorganisms in there. They're using like seaweed and alfalfa and the bean sprouts as fertilizers and nutrients for the plants. In the video, Kyle Cushman talks about how like the average pound takes about $20 to $50 of nutrients to grow, and like a pound of veganic takes about 200 or more, which if you need like $200 of nutrients just to grow a pound, like you gotta charge a lot for the ounce. But this is something I haven't specifically tried yet. They don't have any veganic here in Florida currently. Maybe they will eventually, and I'll pay it. Like, I'll pay a lot to try it. Like, it might not be something I get regular every day or whatever, but like, I'll try it once. But the first time I ever had like real good organic, like living soil organic, I was kind of shocked at the price. I kind of wrote the place off for a little while. I was like, oh, they're just charging a ton over there for the bud. And it was a lot at the time. Like, it was way more than any of the other stores around. This was in Colorado. The first time I ever had like a really good true organic. The first time I ever smoked it, it blew my mind. I took one hit off of it. I'm like, oh, this isn't even that high of a percent. But then I looked at the bud, like, this looks really good. It smells really good. I take one hit and I'm like, bro, this is what good weed is like? What have I been smoking for years? So it's kind of an interesting look into the possibilities in the future. If you saw that Oreos thing I did the other day, I had some, maybe they were vegan, but I had some health food store Oreos. They were like soy-free, gluten-free, peanut-free, everything free or whatever. But you're gonna start seeing that on your flour soon. That's just more and more legalization. You got more options. Some people are gonna make the high-end vegan options and start charging a lot for them. Now, some of the benefits they talk about with the veganic stuff is if you have like really good veganic soil, you're not getting as many heavy metals and stuff in the plant. Like when you're growing anything out in like nature in the soil, there's heavy metals in the ground. We talked about this with the papers video, but people that grow things like potatoes and vegetables outside, since the plants are leaching all the nutrients from the earth, if there's heavy metals in the earth, that's going to end up in the plant. But veganic is ultimately cleaner, would have lower heavy metals. You're not using pesticides. In that Most Expensivest video, they were really hyping up like how smooth it was going to be. They were all lighting joints. Kyle Cushman, 2 Chainz, Sarah Silverman, all lighting joints. And Kyle's hitting, he's like, yeah, it's so smooth, you're not going to cough or whatever. And then 2 Chainz says something like, no, I want to feel it in my abs when I smoke. So Cushman's like, yeah, just take a big hit. Just take a couple of big drags. You still won't cough. And then like a moment later, he hits the joint and he starts coughing. And he's like, oh no, I did that on purpose. Like, really, bro? You did it on purpose? You still go by the you gotta cough to get off? I thought it was kind of funny because it seemed like he genuinely coughed, like he didn't force. He's like, yeah, it's so smooth, you never get a cough. And he's like, I should have sipped before I ripped. But one other thing that I want to point out, it was interesting to see at the end of the video, Kyle Cushman, one of like the OGs of the growing game, one of the pioneers of veganic, lit one of his joints with a match. And then he coughed again. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. Well, I want to know, would you drop 1,000 on an ounce of flour just to try veganic? Let me know in the comments. Come get high with me on Twitch after 9 p.m. Eastern. And I think there's going to be a lot of veganic flour in the future. But if you want to see the best way to consume that, check out this video right here. The future is coming and the future has balls. Have a lit day, my dudes.